Okay, thanks so much. Joe, have you spoken to Rafiq since his testimony? I mean, he seemed to make it pretty clear that he was unhappy with the statement that you gave before his testimony.
Yeah, we've exchanged a couple of messages since, quite recently actually, and hopefully when we finish this tour, we'll get the opportunity to sit down and talk, about this whole situation, about how we can move the game forward. As I mentioned in my statement as well, along with talking to Azeem, I wanted to speak to Lord Patel at the club, and those dialogues have started as well. So I think it's important that we keep finding ways of bettering the sport, finding ways how we can individually affect things for the better, and make a real change in this.
Do you recall the evenings that he talked about in his testimony, in which you were present, he claimed, in which there was offensive language used?
No, I stand by what I said. I don't recall those incidences, and if there are oversights on my part, then that's an area which we all have to learn from, and I have to learn from. And I think about things that have happened since then. There's been other things that have happened on the cricket field where I feel like I have stepped in and called things out, and I think that comes from growth and learning and understanding and education. And there's still further education that I need to undergo and develop myself further, and certainly within our game as well. I think everyone does. So I don't think there's so much work that has to be done. There's so much energy that has to be thrown into this, and there has to be a real want of drive to make a real difference. And I look at the group of players that are around this team right now, and the other two England men's teams. We've spent a lot of time talking about these topics and what's happened and how we can make a real difference. Certainly feel like there's a lot of good conversations happening, which hopefully can now follow into action, and that we can really start to drive the game from our position at the spear point of the sport. And that will only come in time through proving it and actually delivering on some of the things that we've discussed as a group and individually as well.
Okay, we'll go on to Rob Jones now from Sky Sports News. Go ahead, Rob.
Morning, Joe. You
Morning.
spoke there about how you'd spoken about it as a group and as players, everything that's happened. Is there a sort of shared sadness amongst those connected with Yorkshire that one of your former teammates did have to go through something like this and felt that he wasn't being listened to and he sort of ended his career in the way he did?
I think there's a huge amount of sadness from that, and I think a huge amount of learning has to be done off the back of it. We have to make sure that within the game this isn't something that happens again, and we have to do everything we can to make sure that it is as inclusive as it possibly can be. We continue to find ways of really making the game as diverse as possible, and championing that as well. You see what's happened in our white ball teams and our England teams over the recent past, and it's been a huge part of our success. It's been something that we've spoken about for a number of years now, a couple of years, where the culture of our dressing room and how we go about things and how we talk and learn from each other has been a massive step forward in terms of how we've gone about things on the field as well. Having that understanding of each other has definitely helped us with our performances along the way. And we all have to learn so much more, and we have to keep trying to find ways of, as I mentioned, educating ourselves further on this topic. But I think it's really important that we continue to keep trying to do that.